Far below the surface of the oceans, in the darkest trenches where no human eye had ever reached, something was waiting. It was not a creature. It was not a natural rock formation. It was steel. It was fire hidden in silence. For centuries, the waves above had carried storms, wars, and human ships. But beneath, in the crushing black, millions of silent giants slept. They were ships not like anything Earth had ever built, sharp edges, endless hulls, and weapons that had never been fired. Their designs were old, older than the pyramids, older than human history itself. No one on the surface knew. The world believed the oceans held only mystery, not armies. Humanity lived, fought, and dreamed above, never realizing what was beneath their feet. The first sign came on a quiet night. A research submarine no larger than a bus went too deep into the Mariana Trench. Its lights cut through the black water, and the cameras rolled as it drifted past strange metallic walls. The pilot thought it was a cliff, but cliffs do not curve, and cliffs do not hum with power. The submarine sent one last video before it vanished. The footage showed impossible structures, rows upon rows of ships, stacked like a graveyard. Then the feed cut, and the submarine never returned. When the scientists reviewed the recording, silence filled the room. The world's governments were called in secret. "This cannot be real," one general whispered. This looks like an armada." The oceans became restricted. Satellites scanned the seas. Deep drones were launched. And with every mission, more was found. Entire fleets hidden under layers of water pressure and rock. Some ships were alien in design, others strangely human, as if someone had studied Earth's war machines and built them bigger, sharper, and far deadlier. But the most terrifying part was this: the ships were not dead. Their cores glowed faintly, like hearts still beating. You were sleeping, waiting. Across the galaxy, far from Earth, something stirred. A signal left the ocean. It traveled through space faster than light, faster than any human technology could imagine. It was a beacon. For thousands of years, the galaxy had searched for the lost fleets. Legends told of an ancient war where a great civilization had hidden its armies in the last place anyone would think to look. Entire armadas had vanished without a trace. Until now, and Earth had just awakened them. The first alien eyes saw the signal and widened in shock. Messages spread across empires, armies mobilized. Some wanted to claim the fleets. Others wanted to destroy them before their enemies could. All of them wanted Earth silenced before humans realized what they had found. Back on Earth, storms raged. Across the seas, strange vibrations shook the waters. Fishermen reported hearing deep sounds, like drums under the waves. Some swore they saw shadows the size of mountains moving below. One night in the Pacific, the ocean rose. A wall of water climbed into the sky as something vast moved upward. Navy radars screamed with warnings. Satellites caught a blurry image, a shape too massive to measure, breaking free of the trench. Then another, and another. The world finally saw the truth. Millions of ships had been sleeping under the oceans. And now, one by one, they were waking up. People in cities gathered at the shores, staring as the water glowed with strange light. Children pointed at the horizon. Old sailors crossed themselves and prayed. Governments shouted orders, militaries scrambled, and scientists screamed that it was already too late. The question was no longer, what are these ships? The question was, who do they belong to? In the cold darkness of space, the galaxy turned its gaze toward Earth. Humanity thought it was alone. Humanity thought it was weak. But now, every starfaring empire knew the truth. The lost fleets had been found, and Earth was standing on top of them. The fleets beneath the oceans did not stay quiet for long. The moment their signal reached the stars, the galaxy reacted. Across hundreds of worlds, in palaces of kings and the war councils of generals, and in the silent chambers of ancient Aias, a single word echoed: Earth. For most of the galaxy, Earth was nothing. A blue world in a forgotten arm of the Milky Way, a place of primitives still learning to walk among the stars. No one cared about it before. But now it was the center of everything. The first to move were the scavengers. Ragged pirate bands and forgotten mercenary groups lit their engines. To them, Earth was a treasure chest waiting to be cracked open. If the old fleets were real, whoever claimed them would rule the stars. But greater powers also stirred. Empires that had fought for thousands of years, bleeding each other dry, suddenly stopped their wars. They looked toward Earth with hungry eyes. The fleets could end their rivalries in a single strike. And far in the darkness, beyond known space, something older than empires began to wake. Creatures that had built the ships in the first place. Creatures that had hidden them in the oceans. On Earth, humanity was still arguing. The leaders of nations sat in secret meetings, their voices sharp, their faces pale. Some wanted to destroy the ships before anyone could touch them. Others wanted to use them to rise as a new power among the stars, but no one truly understood. The ships did not answer to human commands. Their designs were strange, their cores alive with unknown energy. They felt less like machines and more like sleeping beasts. Then came the first contact. It happened above New York. A tear opened in the sky, no fire, no thunder, only a ripple, like glass breaking. Out of it came a vessel shaped like a blade, silent and black. It hovered above the city, blocking the sun, its shadow swallowing entire streets. Panic spread instantly. People screamed, cars crashed, soldiers filled the streets. For the first time in history, humanity looked directly at a visitor from the stars. The ship did not fire. Instead, a voice thundered across every device, every phone, every radio, every screen. It spoke in a language no human had ever heard, but somehow, everyone understood. You are in possession of what does not belong to you. Leave the fleets. Do not wake them, or you will burn. The ship hovered for one more minute, then vanished into the sky as if it had never been there. The world erupted. Fear turned to rage. Some called for surrender. Others shouted for war. But deep in their hearts, humanity knew the truth. The aliens were afraid. If the fleets were useless, they would not have come. In secret, the ships beneath the oceans began to stir faster. One by one, their lights brightened. Their cores pulsed, like hearts. In the Pacific, an entire mountain of water lifted as a massive vessel rose higher than skyscrapers. Glowing with power, satellites caught the image and sent it across the world. The sight changed everything. Billions saw it with their own eyes. A ship so vast it looked like a city floating on the sea, a monster of steel and fire. And it was not alone. Thousands of others were waking behind it. The aliens were watching too, from hidden stations in the asteroid belt, from cloaked fleets near Jupiter. They observed. Some were terrified. Some were greedy. But all of them understood. If humanity gained control of these ships, the balance of the galaxy would shatter forever. The countdown had begun. Armies in the stars were preparing to descend. The scavengers were already on their way, and Earth had no time in the streets. Of New York, a little boy asked his father a question as the news replayed the warning from the alien voice. "Dad, are we going to die?" The father did not answer. He looked at the glowing sea on the screen, the massive ships rising from the water, and he whispered instead, "Or maybe we're going to fight." Above them, beyond the clouds, the galaxy was moving closer. The first warships from alien empires were only days away, and still, deep beneath the oceans, millions of ancient ships continued to wake. The galaxy did not wait. The warning above New York was only the beginning. Within days, the first alien strike came. It started without sound. Shadow passed over the moon, blocking its light. First, astronomers thought it was an asteroid. But when the shadow changed shape, they knew the truth. It was a ship. No, not a ship. A fortress. A vessel the size of a mountain, black as coal, moving like a predator in silence. Around it swarmed hundreds of smaller warships, their engines. Glowing like angry stars, they came fast. Alarms screamed across Earth's skies. Satellites reported the invasion, but the alien fleet moved too quickly. In less than an hour, they were in orbit, staring down at the blue world below. Then came the fire. Bolts of energy, brighter than lightning, shot downward. The first city hit was Manila. One flash, buildings turned to dust, the sea boiled, and millions screamed. The ground shook, and the sky turned red. Humanity had never seen such destruction. The invaders did not stop. They struck at power stations, military bases, and ports. They wanted to break Earth before it could even fight. To them, humanity was nothing but insects. But something unexpected happened. When the first strike shook the oceans, the fleets beneath reacted. Their cores flared with light, brighter than ever before. One by one, the ships awoke. Their hulls groaned, their engines roared. Water exploded upward as titans of metal rose from the deep. The aliens above the planet froze. Their scans lit up with impossible readings. The sleeping armada was not just stirring, it was answering the attack in the Pacific. A ship larger than any human aircraft carrier rose from the water. Its hull was jagged, glowing with lines of strange symbols. Its weapons unfolded like the wings of a giant beast. And then it fired. A beam of pure energy shot upward, cutting through the clouds, tearing the night apart. It struck one of the alien warships in orbit. The ship didn't burn, it didn't break. It simply vanished, shredded. Into dust, in a single instant, the world saw it live. Satellites, cameras, phones all captured the impossible. Humanity watched as the first alien ship was destroyed not by human weapons, but by the ancient fleets that had slept under their oceans. The battle had begun. The alien invaders panicked. They poured fire down on the ocean, trying to destroy the rising ships, but the fleets were too many. Hundreds of glowing giants rose from the depths. Some floated like fortresses. Others moved like predators, sleek and sharp. Their weapons screamed, and the sky turned into a storm of light. For the first time in history, Earth fought back not with its own weapons, but with the fury of something far older, human soldiers. Watching from the ground could only stare. Generals shouted orders, but their voices shook. No one knew how the ships chose their targets. No one understood who they obeyed. All they knew was that the fleets were fighting, and they were fighting for Earth. But the aliens were not weak. For every ship that fell, 10 more descended. They had numbers, and they had raged. Cities burned. The oceans churned with fire. Humanity could only watch in terror as their world became a battlefield. And yet, hope had been born. In bunkers and shelters, people whispered, "They're fighting for us. The ships are protecting Earth." For the first time since the attack began. Humanity did not feel alone, but deep in the shadows of space, other fleets were coming. The scavengers, the great empires, and worse, the builders of the lost armadas. They had seen the awakening. They were on their way. On Earth, a young scientist named Dr. Alina Voss stood on the deck of a military vessel, watching as one of the ancient ships rose only a mile away. The water around it boiled, steam covering its hull. Its lights burned bright, and she whispered to herself, "They are not machines. They are alive." Above her, in orbit, the alien fortress ship prepared its final strike. Energy gathered at its core, enough to burn half the planet. And then, from the deepest trench of the Pacific, something even larger stirred. The water shook. The Earth itself trembled. And all across the planet, the sleeping fleets answered with a single voice. The war for Earth had only just begun. The sky was burning. Alien warships filled the heavens, pouring fire down on Earth. Cities collapsed, oceans boiled, and millions fled in terror. Humanity was on the edge of destruction. But then the fleets beneath the seas fully awoke. The world shook as more ships rose from the deep. They came in waves, tearing through the water like monsters breaking free from cages. Some were so large their shadows covered entire coasts. Others were sharp and fast, darting across the skies like hunting birds. Their engines roared with a power no human could understand, and they struck back. A colossal beam tore across the night, slicing an alien cruiser clean in half. Another ship unleashed a storm of missiles that moved like living things, weaving through the air before slamming into their targets. The ocean itself erupted with fire and thunder. From space, the view was terrifying. Earth was no longer just a world of blue and green. It was a battlefield of light, where alien fleets clashed with the awakened giants of the deep. The aliens were shocked. They had come expecting an easy kill, but instead they faced weapons that had slept for thousands of years. For the first time, the invaders hesitated. On the ground, humanity watched in awe. Soldiers who had prepared to die now stood with their mouths open. Families in bunkers stared at the screens. For every alien ship that fell, cheers erupted, even through tears and fear. But there was a problem. The ancient fleets were not following human commands. They fought with their own will, striking at enemies, defending certain areas, and ignoring others. When alien fire hit London, the ships did not move. When Paris burned, they stayed silent. It was as if they chose their own battles. Dr. Alina Voss, aboard the military vessel near the Pacific, was the first to notice a pattern. She saw how the ancient ships circled around one another, how their lights pulsed in strange rhythms. It was not random. It was communication. They're not machines, she whispered again. They're alive. And they're speaking to each other. The generals demanded answers. Can we control them? Can we direct them? But no one knew. Humanity had weapons, but none that could match the power of the fleets. If the ships did not listen, then Earth's fate was still uncertain. Meanwhile, above the planet, the alien fortress prepared its final strike. Energy gathered in its core, brighter and brighter until it looked like a second sun. It aimed directly at Earth, ready to burn half the planet to ash. The awakened fleets moved. For the first time, they acted together, as if a hidden voice had called them. Hundreds of ships rose in perfect formation, their weapons glowing. They fired at once, a storm of light so powerful it blinded satellites. The alien fortress screamed as its shields cracked. Its hull tore open, fire spilling into space. With one last roar, it exploded, a burst of flame larger than any city. The world saw it. Billions of humans cried out at the sight. For the first time in history, an alien empire's might had been broken, not by human armies, but by the ships that Earth had unknowingly guarded for centuries. The aliens retreated.
Hey, what?
What was left of their fleets scattered into the dark engines, burning as they fled. Earth had survived, but survival was not victory. The cost was heavy. Entire cities lay in ruins. Millions were dead. Smoke rose from the oceans. And the question remained, why had the fleets chosen now to wake? In the war room of the United Nations, leaders shouted over one another. Some demanded the fleets be studied. Others feared they were too dangerous to trust. Military commanders wanted to claim them as weapons, to make humanity the ruler of the stars. But Dr. Voss shook her head. They are not ours, she said softly. They did not wake because of us. They woke because someone attacked. Her words froze the room. If the fleets were defending Earth, then it meant only one thing. Their true masters had not yet returned, and far away, the void beyond known space. The true masters were already on their way. The galaxy was coming, and Earth had only seen the first battle. The smoke of war still hung over Earth. Cities lay in ruins. The seas were black with ash, and millions grieved their dead. Humanity had survived the first invasion, but no one called it victory. The ancient fleets had saved the planet, but they were still a mystery. They did not speak to humans. They did not follow orders. They moved as if answering only to each other, bound by a code no one understood. Dr. Alina Voss refused to stop searching. She studied every movement, every strange pulse of light across the ship's hulls. She believed they were speaking in a language older than any on Earth. And if she could unlock it, maybe humanity could ask the fleets for help, not just protection. But time was running out, because the galaxy had noticed. The first great empire to arrive called itself the Core Dominion. Their fleets blotted out the stars, thousands of warships in perfect formation. They were not scavengers or pirates. They were conquerors, disciplined and ancient, their banners glowing red against the void. The Dominion had ruled for 10,000 years, had broken worlds, enslaved species, and crushed rebellions. To them, Earth was nothing but a prize. And they wanted the fleets. Their arrival was not silent. Their leaders sent a message, broadcast across every frequency, heard in every city and every home. The voice was cold, sharp, and cruel. People of Earth, you are trespassers. The fleets beneath your oceans do not belong to you. You have two choices. Surrender them, or we will take them. The world listened in silence. Some leaders wanted to fight. Others begged for peace. But humanity knew the truth. They had no control over the fleets. Even if they wanted to surrender, they couldn't. The Dominion knew this, was why their warships began to move. From orbit, their cannons pointed down, ready to finish what the first invaders had failed to do. And then something strange happened. The ancient fleets stirred again. Their lights pulsed in new patterns, faster, brighter, almost like words. Dr. Voss watched the signals with wide eyes. They're reacting, she whispered. Not to us, to them. Then Dominion ships unleashed their fire. Blazing energy rained down, skyscrapers melted, oceans boiled again, but the fleets answered with fury. From the Atlantic, a ship larger than any seen before rose to the surface. Its hull stretched for miles, shaped like a spear aimed at the stars. With a single shot, it pierced 3 Dominion warships in orbit, tearing them apart as if they were made of glass. The world erupted with hope. The fleets were fighting again. But this battle was different. The Dominion was stronger. Their warships were disciplined, their weapons ancient, their commanders ruthless. The sky filled with fire as alien fleets clashed with the awakened armada of Earth. Human soldiers on the ground tried to join the fight, launching jets and missiles, but their weapons were toys compared to the fury above. All they could do was watch and pray. Dr. Voss, working with a small team in a hidden bunker, pushed harder. She studied the light patterns, the pulses of energy across the ships. And then she saw the fleets were not only fighting, they were calling. They're sending a message, she said, her voice shaking. But it's not for us. It's for their masters. The words fell heavy. If the fleets were summoning someone, then Earth's danger was far from over. In orbit, the Dominion's flagship unleashed a storm of fire, crippling one of the awakened giants. The great ship fell back into the ocean, flames tearing across its hull. Humanity gasped, realizing the fleets were not invincible. But then, something else happened. As the burning ship sank, dozens of others moved to protect it. They circled around, shielding it, pulsing with strange light as if showing sorrow or unity. They care for each other, Dr. Voss whispered. They are alive. The Dominion did not care. They pressed harder, their fleet surrounding Earth. Victory seemed close, and then the sky changed. A tear opened in the void, larger than any before. Out of it came shapes no one could describe. They were not Dominion ships. They were older, colder, and the sight of them made even the Dominion pause. Dr. Voss's face went pale as she whispered the words that would shake all of humanity. The builders, they're here. The true masters of the fleets had returned. And Earth was caught in the middle. The sky tore open. The builders arrived. Their ships were unlike anything humanity or the Dominion had ever seen. They were not made of steel or fire. They looked alive, vast shapes of silver and black, moving, like living shadows across the stars. Their hulls bent the light around them. Their very presence made the air tremble. The Dominion's fleet. Thousands of strong warships hesitated for the first time. Their commanders, proud and merciless, went silent. The builders were older than empires, older than memory itself. They were the ones who had forged the ancient fleets, then hidden them beneath forgotten worlds, and now they had returned. On Earth, billions watched the sky with fear. The Dominion had been terrifying, but the builders were something else, something beyond fear, something that made every soul feel small. Dr. Elena Voss sat frozen in the bunker. Her eyes locked on the signals coming from the awakened fleets. The pulses of light had changed again, faster, stronger, desperate. "They're speaking to them," she whispered. "The fleets are speaking to their creators." The Dominion broke the silence first. Their flagship broadcast a booming message. "Honored builders. We are the core Dominion rulers of 1,000 worlds. These fleets are not yours anymore. They belong to us now." It was arrogance. It was also a mistake. The builders did not answer with words. One of their ships moved, a blur of silver shadow. It touched a Dominion cruiser, and in an instant, the cruiser was gone. No explosion. No fire. It simply ceased to exist, erased as if it had never been. The Dominion panicked. Thousands of their ships opened fire. Beams of light, missiles, energy storms all hurled at the builders. But none of it mattered. The attacks vanished before touching them, swallowed by invisible walls. The builders did not fight back with fury. They did not need to. They erased ships with cold precision, one by one, like a teacher brushing chalk from a board. The mighty Dominion, feared across the stars, was being unmade in minutes. Humanity watched in silence. For a moment, even the horror of burning cities and shattered seas was forgotten. All eyes stared upward at gods walking through the stars, but something else was happening. The awakened fleets began to move, not against the builders, but toward them. Their lights pulsed like beacons, their engines roared. It was not attack. It was recognition. "They're calling home," Dr. Voss said. Her voice shook as she realized the truth. "They're not ours. They never were. They're children. Returning to their parents." A chill fell across every human heart. If the fleets belonged to the builders, then Earth was no more than a nest, a hiding place. Humanity was nothing but accidental witnesses. And yet, the fleets did not leave. They circled Earth, their weapons still raised, standing between the planet and the builders. The builders paused. Their massive ships floated in silence. The first time, they seemed to hesitate. Dr. Voss leaned closer to the screen. She saw the patterns again, flashing across the awakened ships. This time she understood. They were not just calling. They were refusing. "They don't want to go," she whispered. Her team looked at her in disbelief. Refuse their creators? That's impossible. But it was true. The fleets had slept for thousands of years, silent in the oceans. They had felt the world around them, the storms, the wars, the songs of humanity above. And now, when their masters had come to reclaim them, they chose to stay. The builders finally spoke. Their voices were not like sound. They filled the minds of every living being at once, heavy and cold. "These fleets are ours. They were never yours. Step aside, humans. Leave them or be erased." The world trembled at the command. Governments panicked. Soldiers froze. Children cried. Humanity could not fight gods. But Dr. Voss looked at the signals one more time. She saw them clearly now, patterns that almost looked like words. And for the first time she spoke back. She typed a simple response into the transmitter. A phrase in the most basic human code. "We need you," the fleets answered. Their lights flared so bright they lit the night sky. Across every ocean, millions of ships roared in unison, and for the first time, the builders hesitated. The fleets had chosen. They had chosen Earth. The night sky was no longer dark. It was alive with fire, lightning, and shadows. The builders had come to reclaim their fleets. But the fleets had chosen Earth. The galaxy held its breath. The builders moved first. One of their massive ships stretched out like a living shadow and reached toward the awakened fleets. A dozen of Earth's giants turned as one, their weapons blazing. The night split apart with light. The builder's ship staggered, but it did not fall. Skin rippled like water, absorbing most of the attack. Still, for the first time, the impossible had happened. One of the builders had been wounded. The Dominion, broken, but not yet gone, watched from the edge of the battle. Their commanders snarled in rage. They had come to claim the fleets, but now they saw something even more dangerous. The fleets were defying their creators, if humanity could truly command them. The galaxy would never be the same. The Dominion rejoined the battle, hoping to strike while the builders were distracted. Their warships swarmed toward Earth like a plague, firing on both the fleets and the planet below. The world screamed. Cities already in ruins shook again. Explosions lit the skies. Humanity hid in bunkers, shelters, basements, praying the fleets would not abandon them. And the fleets answered. They moved in perfect harmony now, like living beings with one mind. Their lights pulsed, not with the cold rhythm of machines, but with something warmer, almost human. They shielded cities, struck down Dominion cruisers, and held the line against their own creators. Dr. Alina Voss watched in awe. She saw patterns in the lights that no one else understood. They were speaking not just to each other, but to her. She whispered the words as they formed in her mind. We have chosen. We belong here. Tears filled her eyes. They're not just machines. They've bonded with us. The builders would not accept it. Their voices filled the minds of every living being again, colder and heavier than before. You are fragile. You are temporary. You are nothing. They are ours. And then the builders struck in full. A storm of shadows fell from their ships, blotting out the stars. Wherever the shadows touched, matter simply vanished. Oceans hissed into steam, mountains disappeared, and entire Dominion squadrons were erased. Like dust in the wind, the fleets roared in response. Beams of impossible energy shot upward, shaking the heavens. Alien metals screamed against living shadow. The earth itself trembled under the weight of gods battling above it. Humanity could do nothing but watch. Soldiers clutched their weapons in despair. Children cried as the sky burned. And yet, amid the terror, there was something else: hope. Because the fleets were fighting for them. In orbit, one of the largest awakened ships faced a builder directly. The builder tried to erase it, but instead of fleeing, the ship sacrificed itself. It threw its body into the attack, shielding Earth. Its hull cracked, its light dimmed, but it held long enough for a dozen others to strike back and drive the builder away. The sight broke human hearts and filled them with fire. They're dying for us, Dr. Voss whispered. The Dominion faltered. Their commanders, once so arrogant, now trembled. If the fleets were willing to die for humans, then humanity was no longer weak. Humanity was no longer prey. The builders pressed harder, their shadows deepening. For a moment, it seemed Earth would fall. But then something changed. The fleets pulsed with light bright, stronger than ever before. Their signals filled every frequency, every device, every mind. Humanity heard it, not in words but in feeling. We are yours. You are ours. We fight together for the first time. Humanity and the fleets were one. On the shores of broken cities, survivors cheered through their tears. In bunkers, soldiers raised their weapons in salute. Humanity was no longer just watching. They were part of something greater, something that shook the stars. The builders, the first time in all history, hesitated. And in that hesitation, the fate of Earth hung in the balance. The sky was fire. Earth trembled as fleets and builders clashed above. Dominion warships, broken and scattered, tried to flee. But many were caught in the storm and erased like dust. Humanity hid in shelters and ruins, their eyes turned upward. They watched as the impossible unfolded ancient. Titans of metal defending their world against the gods who had built them. The fleets fought with fury. Their weapons tore the shadows apart. Their engines roared like storms. Their lights pulsed like beating hearts. For every ship that fell, 10 more rose, circling Earth in defiance. And the builders, for the first time in history, struggled. Dr. Alina Voss stood before her screens, her hands shaking. She could feel the signals pressing into her mind now, clearer than ever. Not words, but emotions, strength, pain, and something else. A secret, she whispered. Why? Why do you fight for us? The answer came like a wave. Because you are what they fear. Her breath caught. She turned to her team. It's not about the fleets. It's about us. The builder's voice thundered. Across the world once more, shaking every mind, you do not understand. They are not your defenders. They are your guardians. They were left here to keep you weak. The words froze the earth. The truth spilled into human minds, unwilling and heavy. The fleets were never weapons for humanity. They were chains. The builders had hidden them here not to protect Earth, but to trap it. Stop humans from reaching the stars too soon. But something had gone wrong. The fleets had watched humanity. For centuries, they had felt the wars, the laughter, the pain, the love. And in that time, they had changed. They no longer saw themselves as tools. They no longer saw humans as weak. They saw them as kin. The builders roared with fury. Their shadows deepened. Their weapons cracked the skies. But now, humanity was not afraid. Across the world, survivors stood in the ruins and raised their voices, shouting into the storm. Soldiers fired what weapons they had, even knowing they could not harm gods. Children screamed in defiance. Billions of tiny voices, all calling. Out together, and the fleets heard. Their lights flared brighter than ever before, blazing with human spirit. They answered the builders' fury with their own. Entire armadas surged upward, striking with the strength of a planet behind them. Final battle was chaos. Builders erased fleets. Fleets shattered builders. Dominion ships were torn apart between two storms. The earth shook, the seas boiled, and the stars above burned with war. And then, silence. The last builder fell. Its shadow cracked and dissolved into nothing. Its voice faded into the void. The sky cleared. The war was over. But the silence was not peace. The fleets floated above Earth, their lights dim but steady. It had survived, but not without cost. Millions of them lay broken in the oceans, their hulks glowing faintly like dying embers. Dr. Voss stared at the survivors. For a moment, she felt pride. Humanity had stood against gods and lived. But then the fleet spoke again, their signal. Filling her mind with a final truth, the builders will return. They never stop. They fear you more than any empire. They will burn the stars to keep you caged. Her knees weakened. Humanity had not won. They had only been noticed. On every continent, the same signal was received. Every human with a device. Every radio, every screen flashed with the fleet's last message. You are not weak. You are not prey. You are the storm they fear. Stand, and we will stand with you. The world erupted. From the ruins of cities, from the ashes of the dead, from the oceans that still boiled, a single truth spread. Humanity was no longer alone. The fleets were theirs, not as masters, not as slaves, but as allies, and across the galaxy. In the halls of empires and the lairs of scavengers, whispers spread like fire. The humans have the fleets. For the first time in history, the galaxy shook with fear of Earth, and above the planet, 1,000,000 ships floated in silence, their lights burning with a promise. The war was only beginning.